All right, and we are back right here with Beyond the Pole, and of course, out of the shackles and back into the studio right now. We have your host, Katrina Lee.
Hello, and it is actually a beautiful day, so I'm glad to, be out of the Erie County Holding Center and here instead. Maybe not in the building. I'd rather be outside enjoying it. Maybe eventually we'll get to that point. But Bailey's on his way. We're all running a little bit late, probably delayed by the weather and walking the dogs around. And, I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things. I haven't really started yet. I literally just got out of jail right in downtown Buffalo. So it's like a slow little jump to it. And for some odd reason, I found myself missing the place over the weekend. And I didn't, in the first 10 days, I had some pretty rough experiences because I was in the mental health hold, which was a nightmare. But once I got moved to general population, it really wasn't too bad. I actually knew a lot of the girls from the strip clubs, which I don't know, maybe I need to change who I hang out with. But also from the pawn shops, I knew a bunch of boosters. So I knew 70% of the people, so it was good. And because I had money and a commissary and all the girls wanted to go on the radio show and they're fighting over it. Everyone was super nice to me, maybe a fake over the top nice, but you know how they say about commissary hoes and everything. I don't have any fun sexual stories of, myself in lesbian jail, experiences. Because I was pretty much in small groups. So originally I started out in constant observation, which is like a bubble, they call it, and where literally someone's watching you 24 hours a day, afraid you're going to commit suicide or be a harm to someone else, which was a giant waste of taxpayers' money. And for the jail, if you think that they're making $20 an hour and 24 hours a day for 5 days just in that room alone to watch me sit there. And a lot of times, actually, they were falling asleep and not even really paying attention, where I'd be like, oh, are you enjoying your nap? And they're just like, oh. But then I moved to Alpha Seg, which is segregated. And that was where the hell began. And that was where the most sick, unmedicated criminals with mental health issues in all of Erie County are. And quite frightening. I actually got spit on and attacked by a girl who has a huge record for being a fire starter. And I Googled her name and I was floored when I saw a lot of the stuff she did, because I didn't know, because kind of exaggerates. So I know she said when she was in the jail that she lit a bank on fire, but then it changed, and then she said she lit the garbage can on fire by the ATM, but it was sprinkler damage. But it turned out it was several houses. She lit herself on fire. She cut off her own fingers. And a lot of people actually know her in Western New York and her stories. And she's got an amazing family that's really supportive. And the father decided that it was best that she was behind bars, because at least it could force her to take her mental health meds. And that was different, but she was definitely severely schizophrenic with a lot of stuff going on. Gave me lots of nightmares for a while. Kind of looked just like Orange is the New Black. Crazy eyes, exactly like with the blank stare. I was called a cracker over and over. She even was so motivated, since it's linear bars, it's the old style jails with a catwalk, that she spit in her hand, then reached to the bars to spit on me and threw it on me. And was saying some shocking stuff to then every white CO, which ironically everyone was that time, and even the nurses. And it went on for 7 hours, in which she banged her head against the wall over and over, and they were trying to stop her, but they didn't really try hard enough. And her whole head swelled up, and I felt bad, because then she started crying and crying, saying she had a concussion or something, and she probably did, and there was no one taking care of her medically. But that area, there's only 4 cells, and you're constantly watched also per thing, and it's a little more rough, and these are more dangerous individuals, because where I first started, there'd be 4 people in there. It could be up to. So these ones all had to be individually in a cage, where there's a constant lockout, and they didn't let them in. But then we had other people who would be detoxing in there and schizophrenic. And the one girl went into the most aggressive preaching I've ever experienced in my life, which was equally as terrifying, about demon dogs and stuff coming. And I am a religious person, but, not intense like that. And it seems like in jail and prison situations, those are kind of the scariest ones to be around. And It was a different experience, but you're actually in like plexiglass because the girls there are known for throwing feces and urine and food and spitting on the officers. So they call that the fishbowl. And then finally, after about 10 days after the girl attacked me and my parents got enraged and all these people started calling and they realized I shouldn't be in the mental health section, I got moved to general population. I literally was like, please, dear God, please, please, please put me with the murderers and junkies. Instead, I can't handle this. I'm going to actually go crazy and develop a mental illness. So I'm home now. And I definitely will have some of the wonderful inmates I met come onto this show when they get off and tell some of these stories and verify some of this stuff. You definitely don't want anyone in your family going there, especially if they're in detox or something. You should try getting them in a rehab center first because detox is frightening in itself. Because you don't know what's going to happen if you start hallucinating or anything, and they don't really take care of you. You're in a seizure boat on the floor where there's bugs and rats, because any place that there's food and stuff that occurs, and you're only given like an ibuprofen at one every 12 hours, and you literally suffer, and it smells really bad, and the lights are on 24 hours over you so they can make sure nothing's wrong. And I think that's also probably the reason why they have so many people committing suicide in there. And it's pretty easy to do that with the linear bars and sheets. It's not really a challenge. So the first song we're going to be cutting into is by Poe, Hey Pretty, and Bailey just got in, so he'll be on here shortly also. Welcome back to Beyond the Pole with Katrina Lee, and Bailey just joined us. And, we're talking about my experience in the Erie County Holding Center in Buffalo, and Bailey actually came out and visited me. And I think that's quite an experience.
Yes, it's definitely an experience. I came out when I got the message that she was in there, and I came out with a friend and wanted to check on her, obviously, because she's my friend. But then second, I was like, I'm thinking about the show. I'm like, do I need to carry this show for 3-4 weeks? And if so, who does she want me to contact? Who am I doing? And I started even contacting people in advance. Hey, you used to be a dancer, one of my friends. You've been sober for so many years. Can I use you? I started already recruiting because I'm like, I don't know if people want to listen to my voice for 4 weeks straight. Although I'm pretty entertaining and got a lot of stories, I don't know if people wanted to hear me every minute. So I was even going to get my mom on the show. I mean, I started.
That'd be great.
Which Mother's Day's coming up. So
we could do that. I could bring up my mom and your mom.
That's
oh my
what
God,
I was. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, blah blah. But you're just like, yeah, we'll just do reruns because of the continued momentum.
Yeah.
But yeah, the holding center not very fun. I used to go there to see my clients. Sometimes my schizophrenic and bipolar clients.
Yeah.
But when I used to go in there for work, I had special privileges. I could bring my briefcase in. I could bring a pen. I could bring that. When I had to see you, which I didn't know if I,
you're not allowed to wear orange, and it's pretty strict.
But you couldn't have a pen, you couldn't have anything, and you better have like 50 cents or a quarter on you for the locker to put your stuff in there because I wanted to take notes. I wanted to take notes like, what do you need me to do? What's the topics, etc. So, and it's refreshing because you have to sit there and have your hands on the table at all times, and it was just
you get one quick hug and like a kiss in the beginning and in the end.
Yeah,
and
it
at least you're not behind glass separated. Those are the no contact visitation areas, and I wasn't on the naughty list.
It sucked because in the legal stuff I was going through with my work, and I was waiting on some cheddar. And they of course dragged it out to the 30th day to give it to me because I was like, and they were disputing me on that, which was really dumb. And I was at the point, and I'm like, man, if this goes to the following week, I'm showing up there, and there's gonna be a problem, and it's gonna get physical. That's how I was feeling. Like I'm like, dude, and if I go to jail, I go to jail for it. Well, after visiting you, I'm like,
I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. She just told me she can't, we had to like buy her shampoo and stuff. And
I got there on a Wednesday, and you're not able to get commissary until like really late Tuesday, which is Wednesday in the morning. So I had to go a whole week without deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, or anything. And because I was in constant ops, you're not even allowed to order that stuff. It's the same for people in detox. So in reality, as you're sweating or withdrawing, and you really want deodorant, and you're denied that, and you just get Bob Barker soap, which is probably the cheapest, worst
Bob
brand of
Barker.
anything you can get. You know, the
It's
guy from
really
Price is
called
Right
that?
runs everything. Yeah, he owns all, like, pretty much the prison
thought you were
commissary.
joking.
Your oranges that you wear, uniforms, are Bob Barker. There's
Really?
Bob Barker, like, deodorant and everything.
Unbelievable.
He never really admits to that one too much. You don't see him talking about it. He talked about more his animal rights movements and everything. But-
So it was interesting because it gave me a reality check, which I probably needed with lots of stuff. And I mean, think about it. I wouldn't be able to have my little guy Zeus and a
it'd
lot
be
of
sad.
stuff.
Zeus would miss you a lot.
Yeah. You know, I mean, he'd be spoiled at my mom's. He loves his grandma, but, and he's sporting his new Bruins jersey today, everybody.
I know, he looks really cute. I love it.
I had to send it back twice because the small was too big. Extra small was too big. He's size tiny.
Aw.
So, but we're promoting him. He's got a Facebook page now called Zeus the Dog. So I'm trying to promote that. And
We'll share it on Beyond the Pole Radio on
Yeah.
Facebook after this. So.
yeah.
Exciting. And then actually Twyla, who is here, and she brought TT, the other therapy dog, she's going into the holding center on the 27th, and she wrote me a letter all excited, which was really nice and stuff, saying hopefully I'm there when you are. And it was a lot of dancers, actually a lot from Pharaoh's. It was kind of funny, and like Madam's back in the day, and it was like a stripper reunion, so it really wasn't too bad. We were all sharing snacks and everything and stories, and they're really like the differences between a lot of other jails and stuff that you see is a holding center doesn't have a lot of supervision. They really just kind of circle around unless you're on constant watch, like once every 15 minutes. And like we were tying sheets together and doing like double Dutch jump ropes and everything, and like
Interesting.
in a bin and dragging each other back and up and down and playing volleyball with like milk cartons. And it was loud, but it's the difference between like women's and men's sections. You know, like
Yeah.
no one's really going around raping or doing anything like that.
Yeah.
And there's not too many fights, some cattiness of yelling. But I was with several murderers when I moved up and people with assaultive behaviors. And
Right.
I didn't witness anything like that except when I was in the mental health section. But it was different. I don't choose to be there, but oddly enough, I think I needed a break from the real world because I have so much going on, and then the cut off of like not being able to work. So you got to stop worrying about everything outside and just live in the moment and make the best of what you have because there's no other options.
Yeah, it's interesting though that Zeus is whining. I don't know.
I
Are you trying
know.
to talk in the microphone? It's interesting that the amount of time to tie sheets up and stuff like that because that's how people hang themselves.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, but
like-
you know, we weren't on the suicide alert. But like I said, when you're in detox, you don't know what's going to start changing or if you start suffering through it. So you then become suicidal, which is an issue with those bars because it's really easy to kill yourself in there. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow.
It
okay.
sounds like that's interesting.
Yeah, and they're scary in there because like a rust is coming from all the ceilings from the toilets and pipes, so it looks like different feces, whatever. One of the girls freaking out saying it was poison and toxic and was coming down the walls. And they definitely need to improve where the women stay. They have updated, and the men actually have a detox area where it's a normal kind of like steel door and everything and remodeled, but the women, they haven't. And, as stated in Orange is the New Black, the show and the books with like legit facts, is that the women, their numbers are increasing rapidly more and more every year. And it's usually drug related charges. So they need to start reforming and getting a little more organized.
The fact that you mentioned about people thinking there's poison coming through the walls and gases, that's, like schizophrenics. That's
Yeah.
the clients I used to deal with, and sometimes we'd have them in hotels to keep the homeless status that we paid for, actually, and while we waited for housing. And I had some hotels never would allow clients ever again because they just
I'm
screwed
sure.
up. And some of them would literally thought gas was coming in through the bathroom ceiling vent and have that taped up. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
they were
and
doing
they're
that
convinced,
with
man. It does-
magazines over the vents and
doesn't
stuff.
it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're convinced because that's their reality of schizophrenia or bipolar with psychosis. They're convinced.
Yeah, there's no
That's-
changing it. And we had an issue with the one girl, and she went on for 8 hours, and she should have been rushed to CPAP, which is the emergency psychiatric center in Buffalo. And they didn't. They waited till very last minute, but within 2 hours, we could tell there's a problem. And aside from being schizophrenic with issues, she was detoxing from alcohol, in which that's one of the
Is
most
the worst.
dangerous to
Yeah.
detox off of. And she was seeing hallucinations and monsters. And at first, it was like friendly, like, oh, look at the cute little dogs and like the little blue people. girl, and the one girl's like, "Are they the Smurfs?" And it was like that. And then it got really intense. And I guess her father is a preacher in Buffalo. So she was reciting all these like Bible verses. And it kind of reminded me of The Exorcist on one of them. And also the Poltergeist. I think it was Poltergeist 3 with the preacher. That was the only one that scared me with like the mirrors and stuff. My sister is really afraid of the whole series.
The most common, when I worked in mental health field, the most common delusions with my schizophrenic clients were about God,
yeah,
or in government. Those are like the two huge ones. Like I had one guy that the government, the voices he heard was the communication box that the government put in his brain during the John F. Kennedy era.
Yeah,
and he literally wrote letters to George Bush, and then took a bus down there and made it to the White House steps before Secret Service grabbed him. He wanted to talk to George Bush about getting it out. And I'll never forget the letter. He had a diagram and a drawing, and it was the reason why I never forget the letter is because it looked like a fifth grader kind of drew this drawing, and he had where the communication device was located in his brain and his stomach, but he had his full anatomy with pubic hair.
Oh my God, that's great.
It cracked that part. Always cracked me up.
Yeah.
And he had a P.S. Since having the communication device in my brain for 15 years, I've been unable to sleep and deprived of sexual pleasure. Enough is enough. Like that was like his final statement. And so he went down and he got thrown in the psych wards there and got transferred back here, and I had to meet with Secret Service. Then he did it again.
Oh, wow.
6 weeks late when Obama was president. He bought
the motivation there.
He bought 2 bus tickets. He bought one as diversion and took the other one. Then he ended up punching a military guy, got thrown back, and then actually we never heard from him again. But and then the other is the God delusions. I had one client that was convinced he was the second coming of Christ, and I had a supervisor that had an amputated leg since she was young. He was going to heal her leg. He also thought he was engaged to actress Zoe Deschanel. So whenever I see her, I always think of this dude. Like, he's convinced. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm engaged to Zoe Deschanel. Yeah. And he's the second coming of Christ. We're like, okay, dude.
Yeah, I just actually started watching Orange is the New Black season 1, and they have the healer there on this show too. And so it's common. Actually, was very similar to what I experienced with people taking certain roles. And my dad and my mom are also in the mental health field, like your mom. And so my dad, I feel like, prepared me at a young age for all like jail by telling us different stories that occurred. And at one point, we had this woman saying, "I know Ross Salvatore is going to come get you," and kept calling our house. So we had to block our phone number and make it private, which it didn't used to be. And it was like a stand down where we lived in Holland back in the day. And, just all the different goofy stuff going on. So I do have a warped sense of humor, and I can usually tolerate a lot of that stuff. But I miss Susie. So happy to see me. Usually you're right up, but I'm going to be on 2 Guys and a Girl next. So give me 3 hours of radio airtime with me, hosting and co-hosting, which is neat.
Zeus is funny climbing on the table right now. He was excited to see you, obviously.
I know. I'm excited.
She missed you.
And then, so one of the COs actually was all excited when she saw it was you who was visiting me. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, he did a stag and he was there and he's so hot and you're so lucky to get all these visitors." And I was getting a lot of too crazy letters, which was nice, and outpouring from people who saw me on Mobile Patrol, which I'd prefer that app didn't exist, but some were kind of scary, and like people were like, "I finally located where you are and why you've been ignoring me." If I'm ignoring you on Facebook and I don't respond, I probably don't have any interest in you, and I'm being nice, not saying anything mean. Doesn't mean hunt me down in jail. And some of them were real creepy, like, "I've always wanted to be with you and meet you and everything, and I want to come visit. I'll give you anything you want." And I'm like, I don't really need that. I'm kind of comfortable right now. And
yeah, I've never understood dudes why they don't get the no. I saw your post on that.
Yeah.
It's like if I ask a girl out, first of all, I usually don't blindly ask girls out. I usually feel a vibe.
Feel it out, yeah.
Second, and if you were so privileged for me to think that highly of you to do that, I'm not gonna ask you out 50 times. Like I'm not. I don't understand the game. If you're gonna sit there and call her sweetie and honey, she's feeding Zeus a French fry.
I don't think he wants it.
He might eat it. I don't know. But it's like I don't understand what dudes do that, like asking a girl out 50 times.
Yeah, like it's not gonna change
because she's not gonna say, "Oh wait, you're right, John. I will go out with you now that you've, messaged me 800 times and sent me pictures of your penis. So it's like,
Yeah.
boy, I never understood that. And they ruin it. They ruin it for guys like us. So what happens is girls like you or girls in general will just not respond because they're afraid if they give me a polite no thanks, I'm not
Yeah.
interested or whatever, that
Or they'll get threatening too.
I'm going to, get
sometimes.
threatening
Yeah.
or message you 800 times, which I wouldn't. I would have more respect and say, okay, that's cool, fair enough,
Yeah.
especially because I'm a dancer or whatever. Or they could even lie and just say I'm seeing talking to someone. That's fine. But unfortunately, these dudes ruin it. It's
Yeah, they don't back off, especially on Facebook. And one of the girls that you help bounce eggs and everything for, Jessica, had the same issue with this guy. And I had an issue with him also when he got like real threatening and nasty. And,
I know what you're
he just
talking
keeps
about.
going around. And it's like, no means no. And if people are being polite, like, you got to back off it. It's amazing.
we went viral with that dude, and the amount of people that came out of the woodwork of him, calling them, asking about their feet.
Yeah.
That was the thing. You would ask him about their feet and he'd lie and say he does like these photo shoots, and then he wanted to get off while the girls talk about the feet or whatever. And if you didn't entertain this, he was threatening to kill you, kill your kids,
Yeah.
this and that. And he did this like all day long. But when we did those posts on it, there must have been 100 victims coming out, like
Yeah,
all the
that's
time.
crazy.
He's done this. So this is like a full-time job for this dude. And I mean, we found out where he lived, where he worked. He would hang out at this one Applebee's and do it all day. And then you could tell one of the photos, there was Applebee's in the background.
Yeah.
So people knew. So you would work this night shift, go there, drink all day, pretend to be all baller. And then to me, it was amazing. You have to really be a sociopath. I mean, as horny as I've ever been, I could not take 10 hours a day messaging
Right.
everybody. I mean, that's so much energy. Like, this guy was nonstop relentless with people.
I know,
And
you
then,
could just go on Pornhub or something.
yeah,
World
like
sex.
just how do you have that much energy every single day? Because the amount of people he reached. I mean, this is nationwide in states.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends, like Ruby Ryder and Shaylin, Dawn Vaughn, a lot of them were friends with him. A bunch of dancers they didn't know, and I had to message as many of them I can.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you need to block
And he had
this dude.
several
And then he'd
accounts,
make
too.
several accounts. It's one of the things Facebook I think should do is charge $5 an account. That'll put an end to a lot of things.
I think it would.
Just $5. It can be a little amount because you're going to have to at least have a credit card or purchase a credit card. And second, it's going to be hard. The porn people and the spams they're not going to want to make 20 fake profiles
That's
a day
true,
because
and
that's
pay.
$100.
Yeah.
So I think to me it would cut down the nonsense. Give it
Yeah.
to charity. I don't care. You don't have to
Something,
profit
or use
from
it towards some of their other stuff.
Whatever,
like
man.
they've been
I
working
don't
in
know. But
projects
just
or-
make people pay for stuff. And nonsense cuts down real quick.
Oh yeah, no, I
That's
agree.
what I think.
Or you get it back slowly if you use ads or promote
Yeah.
or something, just so they know for accountability. But yeah, I think it would be a lot better with that. We're gonna go into your song that you picked. We had to switch it originally to like Crew, Pop That Coochie, but I guess that's got swearing and a little no.
Yeah, even
so.
the nice version did. So it was I requested a Supertramp song.
Welcome back to Beyond the Pole with Katrina Lee and Bally, and you can check us out on RochesterFreeRadio.com and also RochesterFreeRadio.com/podcast. If you miss us, it's usually uploaded by Tuesday. And our Facebook page is Beyond the Pole Radio. My personal page is Katrina Lee, and yours is...
Mine's under Paul Bailey, but if you do Facebook.com/Bailey Entertainer, you'll find me. And Zeus the Dogs is under Zeus the Dog.
It works.
Yep,
Pretty
yep.
simple to locate us and check out our info. And we share pretty frequently on Facebook. So I did get a couple new sponsors that are going to get organized once they get more together. And one of them was one of the guys I met in the jail who has an auto care place. So that's kind of neat. And, I was networking and found a way to make money in jail. And thank everyone for the commissary donations because I managed to not get beat down or raped or anything crazy, because I had candy bars and ramen noodles. And I did watch two girls get in a fight over a bag of sour cream and onion chips that were maybe like 60 cents. So luckily I was spared from that. And I'm on a high iodine diet. And the prison food wasn't meeting the needs that I have to have. So I was having problems with my low blood pressure and everything. And once I was able to just eat bags and bags of chips, ramen noodles, cookies, and candy, it was better. And I put on a little bit of weight that I lost from stress. So I actually am looking a lot more refreshed. And once I get my nails and my hair and everything back together, which I will like tomorrow, I'll be like 100% back on A game. My smile's back. I'm more relaxed. And I know you have some interesting stuff to talk about in the adult industry, since I'm not exactly sure 100% what's going on, but I'll be more caught up next week.
Yeah. So a male dancer friend of mine, Bobby Spear, got assaulted at this show. Basically in Illinois, they do this rock and roll pole show. It's co-ed, so you got male and female dancers. And now he is a... Guys, you're going to want to cover your junk for this part. I'm going to warn you in advance. He has a Prince Albert piercing, and he hangs like kind of these spiky like ball from it. Almost looks like a Christmas ornament. It's just kind of his trademark. Now, this show, it's not a full nude show. It's in a thong or whatever, but he obviously has a hole in the thong, and it hangs out as part of his trademark. So he's doing the show. There's a row of women. He's dancing for the women. Some guy taps him on the leg or whatever, which guys will do that. They might give us money to dance for their girlfriend, their wife, their friend, whatever. Taps him, whatever. He turns. The guy grabs his Prince Albert piercing, that thing, and just rips it out, causing, obviously, it hurts me. It hurts me. I'm grabbing my junk right now thinking about it. It hurts me thinking about it. He, was kind of in shock, saw some blood, left the stage, went down in the bathroom, passed out, threw up, got taken to the hospital. Now, this was just some straight guy in the crowd that, wanted to be a jerk. We'll call him the tool. So they didn't consider it tool.
It's terrible. There's I understand why sometimes you don't want other guys there because they might get jealous and they're rude like that. But then on the other hand, because homosexuals and stuff like that, you can't, judge too much. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had a nice conversation with Bobby Spear last night. Oh, by the way, there's a GoFundMe page. If you type in, go to GoFundMe, like Bobby's BOBBY' medical expense. There's a bunch of Bobbies on there with medical expenses, but he's the one. He's got a cowboy hat.
I saw his picture on Facebook. He's pretty hot.
They redid it with his pictures of his girlfriend. Anyways, so there's I don't know. One, he was in pain. He was off work. He can. What's going on now? He can never have a Prince Albert there again.
Yeah,
he might have
that's
permanent
tragic.
pain the rest of his life. He might need a skin graft where they're going to take parts of his cheek or his tongue to, attach to his penis or whatever.
Wow.
Obviously, this isn't too good for him and his girlfriend. You can't have sex and stuff like this. What's even, it sucks.
At least his mouth still works, right?
Yeah, really.
No, I know it's
You're
bad.
funny. I'll start part 2.
No, I'm sorry. I
No, it's okay.
distracted you.
No, I didn't want my video to go too long. So, but then, what's terrible about this? It could be some disfigurement. There could be some permanent loss of feeling in parts of his penis. And regardless if this guy gets sued or the club, there's a settlement. It doesn't matter. You can offer a dude $300,000. I'm sure most people would rather have a fully functioning, penis or whatever, with no scar tissue and stuff to work. And even furthermore, for our nude strip contest we do, he won, last year. Me and him battle head to head. I've beaten him in the beauty. He's beaten me. I've beaten him in the go-go. He's never beat me in the entertainer, but he won the beauty last year, the North American. So it's like this year he can't even go and defend his title because of a heinous crime by some jerk. It's like, if you want to compete or not compete, that should be your choice. Whether you just want to retire or you move on, you need a break, that's fine. Whatever. Not because someone's being a jerk. When I heard it, to be honest, at first I thought maybe it would have been a girl that did it, because I've bounced for Jessica and Extraordinary Entertainment, and I've danced myself for 17 years, and I've seen the girls are usually worse than the men.
Yeah,
so I
no,
was
I've
very
seen some
surprised, and it's the whole thing
Male
irks me.
reviews. Whew.
Yeah, the whole thing irks me. It's unnecessary. It's like if you're at a co-ed event, if you don't want to be around a dude or whatever, that's fine, no problem.
Yeah,
go to the other side of the bar. Well, you're gonna peel. You're gonna grab someone's jewelry and yank it off them. Like, what are you thinking? To me and to Bobby, that should be a sex crime. The guy is getting arrested for some criminal stuff, but this whole thing with the state prosecutors and this Illinois law and that, and like the one state people, they don't really want to push it too much, and so he might only get charged with a misdemeanor. I mean, to me, and again, even if he gets it's going to take many years. It's going to take like 4 years to even get any money. I know how lawyers think.
Yeah,
I know how they lie and manipulate. They're going to change and be like, he'll be like, oh, he teabagged me, or he did, which Bobby's not like that. He doesn't dance like that. He's not in your face like I am.
Okay.
He's more of an artistic pole guy. He doesn't even do stagettes really. He doesn't really like that. He's more of the pole guy. I'm the in your face physical guy. I do teabag people, well, not dudes, but I do teabag girls or whatever. Depending on the show. So he's not like that. The whole thing's terrible. He's a nice guy. So we're trying to raise some money for him. I got 1,200 Facebook friends. And I kind of put a thing out in a promo video. I wore my Macho Man shirt in honor of Bobby because he loves Randy Macho Man Savage.
Yeah,
OCD, one cool dude, Bobby. So I wore that in honor. I woke Zeus up. I wore that in honor of him. But I was asking my Facebook friends if everybody could give $2 because everybody can afford $2.
Yeah,
I got 1,200 friends. That's $2,400 because the problem is to do any skin grafts or to do any things might come out of pocket because the insurance might consider it. Cosmetic.
Yeah.
So, and even then, if you do all this, and they're searching for the correct doctors that feel they can do this, again, there's a great chance that his urethra might narrow.
Okay.
It might hurt him to pee the rest of his life.
Yeah, that's terrible.
He could lose some feeling. And then just from the fact, even just dancing, I mean, that's kind of his trademark. That's his thing. Hangling stuff from his penis, that's his thing.
Yeah.
It's like me dancing with my cow.
Yeah, his show a little bit.
When you know in my shows or at the Sun Club, I'm going to wear my cowboy hats, my guns, and my boots. It's kind of my trademark. And to be like telling me you can never do that again, that's kind of his trademark. So I feel for the guy. He's my friend. You don't wish that upon anybody. And so if anybody wants to help out, and again, even if it's $2, don't be embarrassed. You could do it anonymous if you're embarrassed, but any amount. I did $13 and one for every one of my entertainers.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, lucky 13
now,
too.
Exactly, that's what it. Now I'm on food stamps right now, and I'm not working, and I'm scraping by. But I still did $13.
Okay.
And if I could have done more, I could have done more. But I figured my part, I'll also do. Brotherhood is get this out there to people, and anybody wants to help them out, because this is going to be a long road. It's going to be a long road, and I told them not to expect justice, because I know how the criminal system and these systems, I know how they manipulate and protect the criminals. So it's terrible, but
I've seen it.
But if you go to GoFundMe, Bobby,
I'll definitely have to make
Spear.
a donation, knowing that, because I do like penises a lot. And it's a good cause.
And he sent me some. Obviously, I've seen from the strip contest the before, and I saw some of the afters, and it was not good. And I remember, and he can't legally talk about this a lot. I can vent and say this guy's a jerk and, wish bad karma or do whatever. He can't legally talk about it, too much. But I just know how these things go, and lawyers manipulate. And so we're pulling for you, Bobby. We hope, and everybody, positive vibes, thoughts, prayers, whatever you're into, that Bobby's spear heals.
Spear save his spear.
Yeah, that's what it is. Save Bobby's spear.
I love it.
That it heals. And he has no permanent damage, and then he can hopefully get some cheddar from it. It's sad, though, part of his trademark's kind of gone because of selfishness, heinous act of really a cruel individual. And that's bad karma, man. That stuff's going to come back to that guy someday.
You never know. Maybe some girl will bite it off and, feed it back to them right now.
John Wayne Bobbitt. So
right.
We'll pull in for you, Bobby. That's just, I wanted to do a little spiel on him. So
I have ongoing, we got erotic butterflies from Top Cat, and we're going to be giving them away with Facebook on our page if you share it and get more people to like our page. So it's actually, speaking of penis, it's like a little mini penis that goes around your legs with the butterfly with a remote control that your partner can play with. It doesn't come with the batteries, but retail value is over $30, and you can be one of the lucky winners. We have 3 of these that we will be giving out during the course of the month for anyone who shares it. And that's going to be fun, and I'll post some pictures about that later. And, it's good. I'm just glad, this is a good time. I'm glad to be back and see you and everyone and not be in oranges. And talking about like political corruption and everything, I ended up going to jail, and everyone's probably curious on this. I have a violation restraining order for being annoying. Actually being annoying because I wanted my own personal property and I wanted my business back from my future ex-husband, and it went on going with the restraining order in September. So I ended up in this DV, domestic violence court, in which you got to do like tox tests and call 3 times a week, and if your number is called you have to go in there. And I ended up being late, and I missed one because of my friend's funeral who passed away, Shar, and that was terrible. We talked about it on the show. That was Brittany or Stacks. And I actually ended up going to jail for testing positive for benzos, which I'm prescribed, and I gave them my prescription. I told them I was on it. I gave them all the info. I gave them the doctor's info and the waivers for Walgreens, and supposedly they lost it. And the irritating part is that right when I got out, I got the letter. I drove it right over there, and I literally lost 30 days of my life on a sanction that waiting for 2 doctors outside, 2 different psychiatrists to analyze me because I was accused of lying for something I gave them all the info for. And it should never even happened. And they weren't being abused. It was Klonopin as needed. And I maybe used one every 2 or 3 days when I was being attacked by him or harassed on Facebook and different things, which I haven't been able to get the protection I wanted until recently. I now have my restraining order. And it's a pretty good one, and my lawyer helped me out along with the Family Justice Center. And we have this campaign, Not Just a Pretty Face, and the last donation we made was to the Family Justice Center, and I'm back around. I'm going to be picking up the collections that we had at Playmates in Byron and at Tally Ho in Rochester and getting it going on in more locations. But the next song we're going to play is one of my picks. It's country, and is Sam Hunt, Body Like a Back Road. Welcome back to Beyond the Pole with Katrina Lee, Bailey, and Zeus, the therapy dog. He's running around on the table right now, and it's been going pretty quick today. There's a lot of stuff that occurred in the past month in my life, and that was neat about Bobby Sears. And our quote of the week is, I cry a lot. My emotions are very close to the surface. I don't want to hold anything in, so it festers and turns into pus, a pustule of emotion that explodes into a festering cesspool of depression, by Nicolas Cage. And I just thought that was interesting. I like the wording of it.
Kinda
and
gross,
it's probably
actually.
kind of like Bobby Spears, how he felt.
Yeah, really.
It was terrible.
Poor
but
guy.
I just thought, I picked that. I was like, oh, that's a weird one. People remember that. And I'm going to post that in our Catch Me Out quote corner when I get back out. I'm going to be on this show right after this, 2 guys and a girl co-hosting. And Joe's one of the people on there. He just turned 50. So I have a nice big thing of lube for him that he can use with his girlfriend. So he'll be excited.
You never have too much lube.
Yeah, and it's a good one. It tastes like Sour Patch Kids. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, the green apple one. Oh my gosh, I could like eat it.
Well, there's a good lube if you're using in a hot tub. Those are hard to find. I
Yeah.
remember, because
And they're expensive too.
yeah,
with certain
that
ones,
still stay
so.
lubricated in a hot tub. That's always a good time.
Yeah, can beat that.
Back when I had girlfriends and stuff.
Yeah, no, I thought, and I told my parents this at first, and they didn't like the idea, but I'm like, I thought maybe I'd go to jail as a way to pick up guys. There's all these hot built men with teardrops on their eyes and all these tattoos and all these COs, but, I guess it's not like eHarmony, and that might not be, I do have a bad taste in men, as we can all look through my previous records, but, probably not where I want to find someone.
What's funny, honestly, the last 3 months, I kind of made a pact with myself. I'm not asking any girls out anymore.
Yeah.
It just became
Wait
too
till
much
they just
work.
kinda come.
This is interesting. I got kind of sick of it. And since I've done that, out of nowhere, some of them have been coming out of the woodwork.
Nice.
That had a crush on me in high school and
Yeah.
stuff like this.
You never know.
So they're kind of coming out of the woodwork. I'm sure the red flags and the
They
nonsense.
might just want your penis, though.
Well, exactly. They just want to. And I told them, most girls just want to ghost me, use me for 3 months for the hot sex, hot times, stripper fantasies, fill the void that their boyfriend or ex-husband left, and then they usually ghost me and cast me aside. And actually, it's funny that I'm talking about the ghosting because it's a huge theme with me. I was trying to play relationship fixer between a couple I knew that I met down in Detroit, and both in the adult industry, and they broke up, and they're really cute together, and so. And the one kind of ghosted the other one, and the next one ghosted the next person. So
Did I hear something about lube?
I know,
Yeah, I was like,
right?
what?
That's Joey Rannick.
Dude breaks
Look at
in here.
that.
I was like, what the heck's going
I didn't
on?
know they made him in this big of a jar.
I know. I'm sure it'll last you a week.
Good stuff.
I'm not quite sure it'll last that long.
It'll be fun.
Good stuff. Forgot what the heck I was talking about now. ADD. Oh, ghosting. Yeah, so this couple broke up, and I'm like, well, what happened? And the one person's like, well, this person never came home, and the other person just jammed and just blocked them and made it single. And so I told both of them, the guy and the girl, I said, look you guys are cute together. They clearly love each other and still, but there's some obviously issues. And I was going back and forth, and I even did selected screenshots to each of them
Yeah.
to show them. I'm like, look no matter what, just talk to each other, write a letter, communicate.
Yeah.
But she got fiery at some points, wanted to throw his stuff to the curb. I at least saved his stuff from going to the curb. So I don't know if they'll ever be back together. I told them, I don't know. I think you guys will be back together by July. That's my prediction. But I hate ghosting so much, which is just not communicating with someone.
Yeah,
and
that's the
falling
big
off.
thing nowadays. I was I was
Yeah.
in jail. I had a lot of time to read, and it was in many women's magazines about it, and trying not to ghost and everything. And I guess it's a younger generation thing. I never heard of it,
It
until you
happens-
mentioned it.
yep.
Now I'm seeing it everywhere.
It happens so much. It's like the norm now. People almost don't even get as mad about it. It's like acceptable. To me, it's unacceptable. But the girl I dated a few years ago from a party, is a cute blonde I was dating, but a little dumber in a box of rocks. But
Yeah.
anyways, she was one that taught me about the term ghosting me. And then guess what? She ghosted me
That's
2 weeks
great.
later.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah,
At least she
thanks.
let you experience what ghosting was,
Well,
right? So you understood.
I
now.
had told her, I had told her I'd been, don't do this. Don't do the fall off the face of the earth, not text me, not talk to me. If you don't want to see me anymore, just give me a reason, or at least tell me you don't want to see me anymore. I don't
Yeah.
care what the heck the reason is. I'll have more respect. She goes, oh, that's called ghosting. She goes, don't ghost her. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, it's a term now. I'm like, it's an actual term for it now. So a
Wow,
lot of people
yeah.
listening and on Facebook can't believe there's an actual term. It is a term.
Yeah,
me,
no,
me and Zeus been ghosted and let down by like 12 times since August. So
See, that's not my problem. I tend to get the crazy stalkers who I'm like, I am not your girlfriend. I am not with you. Please leave me alone. And they don't seem to get it. And I know it's because I am actually a genuinely very nice person. I'm educated. I'm semi-attractive. I guess pretty attractive if you say that. But I definitely get the nuts. So... definitely not even my speed. And when I'm like, and then I'll be nice and I'll even say, like, I won't lead them on and everything. And I had that going on while I was in jail. Like, amazingly, I managed to get stalked where I had to block them from the visit list. And then they were
Really?
crying and leaving all these voicemails, which you can leave voicemails on the jail phones. And there's 18 of them with crying, and my phone was held hostage, and a lot of crazy things went on. And that was pretty nutty. And I hope to never have that happen again. In prior times too, even when I was married, like guys wouldn't back off and they just keep going and going. And I'm like, I don't get what your problem is. I'm trying to be really open about it. I'm not going to be with you.
when I had heard you were in jail or whatever, I had waited too. I don't overcross boundaries.
Yeah.
I had people do this to me. So I had texted you and did a screenshot. Because I didn't know you were in jail. I didn't know. But
Oh,
it was
yeah.
about
Most people,
you.
it takes a couple
So
days to find out. Mobile Patrol is like over 24
So
hours.
I said,
before
I
it's
didn't hear
posted.
anything from you. I'm like, okay. Then I went to your Facebook page, and I'm like, she hasn't posted.
Yeah,
And, you're
no movement.
you're a serial poster. So I'm like, I didn't see any movement.
Yeah.
So then now I started to get concerned, and then I texted the person, and they told me.
Yeah.
And then they said about the show. So then I was like, okay. So that's how I knew. But because at first I was like, I left your voicemail even too.
Yeah.
I think I called because I'm not going to talk about you to someone else
Yeah,
that
that
I
you
know
don't know,
likes
yeah.
you, or regardless without your consent, because
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and I was upset too because I'm like, you took a person who suffers from anxiety and like depression, you have them all riled up, then you brought him into jail to freak them out and everything, like all in a row. And I'm like, what are you thinking? I'm like, and then he's like, well, you said if you ever went to jail, barely together. I'm like, no, I wasn't planning on going to jail ever. That's not something that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And I never said that. I said in time, I want to make sure I have some decent co-hosts so if I want to go on vacation or something. But now that I learned how to do it through the phone, like I awesomely did while I was in jail, and it came out pretty good. I know that it's not too much of an issue. I could even conference call in or something,
Really?
so it's not so shocking.
Yeah, that's what I was. At first I was all freaked out. And then I'm like, you know what? I can handle this. I'll take the ball and run with it, man. I started making notes and a guest list.
which is great. But I
'Cause
mean,
I
just
was
I could
like-
see everyone was all anxiety
Yeah, I
and
was
stress and the
like-
thing, and I'm like, whoa.
But when you weren't concerned about it, I was like, okay, that's fine, because you know I didn't know. I didn't want the show to lose momentum.
Yeah.
So.
No, we actually gained more momentum and got a whole different outreach of people because our whole show, and like I said, even the Extremely Hot ad is everything like jails, institutions, rehabs, what works, what doesn't work, addicts, the adult
I was thinking
industry.
of that.
And I mean, I'm the only person at the holding center who managed to do a radio show through the phones in jail. So
And you had some people on Facebook that were concerned. The one person,
Yeah.
I wrote to one person. They
Yeah.
were kind of. I just wrote, "She's okay," or
Yeah,
whatever. I didn't want to
there's
go.
a lot of
But
concerned
then
people.
once
You should
what's
saw
her-
the messages. I
once,
had to like
once
avoid it.
Roxy or whatever did the post there, I
Yeah.
could tell you and people knew you're in jail. Then I wasn't worried. To
Yeah,
tell
like
them.
at first, people
Yeah.
were saying vacation, and I'm like, it's on mobile patrol. Everyone and their mother knows
Yeah.
it, and I can do the show from in there. And I'm
Yeah.
not embarrassed because I didn't do anything wrong. It's just been this giant mess that. Is because of political corruption, like with my ex, who has everyone in his pockets grabbing for money, and kind of stinks that I ended up in that whole mess in the first place. But before we end up leaving, I remind everyone to check us out on Facebook, Beyond the Pole Radio. Myself is Katrina Lee, KatrinAlee. I have a modeling page, and then I have my regular Facebook page, which I have over 5,000 friends, but I have a lot of followers, and I keep most of my stuff public so everyone can see it. On the modeling page is definitely more stripper style and naughty. And my adult website is KatrinaLee.model, MODEL Centro, CENTRO.com. And now that I'm back out, I'm just getting back to tanning, my nails and everything done. I'm going to be doing a ton of photos to keep all the fans happy because I do like the income checks that I get from that site. My mom actually managed to get a hold of my phone and told me I was a pig because she should never had my phone in the first place and was going through the pictures so I didn't have time to damage control or filter it. And there's probably 1,000 naked pictures of myself in there. And she was like disgusted. And then she was looking for stuff to send to the court trying to prove that I was innocent and went through all the drawers and found my toy drawer, my drawer with porn and all these outfits.
Actually, I had some. I don't know if you knew. I had
Pretty
some.
bad.
I had some fun. You had some New Kids on the Block dolls.
Yeah.
And I made the one humping, the other one on your.
They
on
were
your-
naked. I guess I was a little
Yeah,
damaged
they're
sick
already
kid
naked.
because they didn't have clothes. So
Yeah, I had the one humping. So that's how I met your mom. I'm like, oh, look at this, and I'm going through the Hulk Hogan and these toys, and I started having them humping each other, and she's like, who is this guy? I'm
she was
sorry,
all
I'm
like,
her
what's
coach.
going on? Yeah.
I got to take your. You had some strawberries in the fridge, so I got to take. We didn't want them to go to waste, so I ended up eating those and
Yeah.
some cheese or something on the way home. I was tomatoes. You had the tomatoes and stuff, so we didn't want the food to go to waste. I felt bad, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, I
"Ah."
didn't even know what was going on. And my mom's
Yeah.
like, I was like, that's the one person who did all that stuff. I'm like, you should have told my mom you were going into her house, especially when they know I'm in jail and not there. So they're not thinking someone broke in because I have been having issues with my ex. So it did scare her a lot. And then she went about the wrong way. She changed all the house keys, but she didn't change my area, which was the key that was there. So kind of silly, but, kind of stressed her out. And I try not to do that. I like to keep her on her toes because it keeps them alive longer, I feel, if they got to worry about me. No, I'm trying to calm down my life. But check us out. Next week, we're on every Sunday from 5 to 6, and we're going to have a lot more exciting stories and adventures. And I'm going to be on Two Guys and a Girl next.